3 former Anglican bishops were, in January, ordained Roman Catholic priests in an unprecedented service that will change the Christian landscape in Britain. Fathers Keith Newton, John Broadhurst and Andrew Burnham were ordained into the new Ordinariate, an extra-geographical body comparable to a diocese that the Pope has set up as a home for former Anglicans converting to Catholicism. In a decree from the Holy See, the Ordinariate was placed under the patronage of John Henry Newman, the 19th century Anglican convert to Catholicism, beatified by the Pope during his visit to Britain last year. The new body was officially named the Personal Ordinariate of Our Lady of Walsingham, reflecting the central role of the Anglican shrine at Walsingham in Norfolk in nurturing Anglo-Catholic spirituality across the UK. All 3 men were from the Anglo-Catholic wing of the established Church of England, and had been appointed bishops specifically to care pastorally for opponents of women's ordination. As many as 200 people from their congregations, along with a further 50 priests, are receiving catechesis and are expected to follow them over to Rome in the run-up to Easter. All 3 men are married, and 2 of the wives have converted with them. Father Newton, the former flying Bishop of Richborough, was appointed ordinary or head of the Ordinariate. As such, he will sit at the table of the Bishops' Conference of England and Wales, and will have full voting rights, giving him a status never before afforded to a married man in the Catholic Church of England and Wales. Father Newton, a popular, spiritual and self-effacing cleric, said, "I'm humbled to have been appointed by the Holy Father, Pope Benedict XVI, as the first ordinary for the Personal Ordinariate." I'm here today at the Catholic Bishops' Conference of England and Wales with Bishop Alan Holmes, who's going to introduce Father Keith Newton as the Ordinary of the Ordinariate.
The Archbishop of Westminster announced the erection of the new Personal Ordinariate, and that was announced in Rome at the same time. And it was also announced that the Pope had appointed Father Keith Newton as the new Ordinary of the Ordinariate. Sorry about all the language, it's very complicated. So, without any more ado, I want to introduce you to Father Keith and to leave the rest of the press conference in his good hands.
Well, thank you for coming this morning. You can imagine it's been something of a roller coaster of a few days. I jokingly thought that we were slightly slower than the Cardinal Manning, but Archbishop Vincent tells me that Cardinal Manning took 2 months for being received to becoming a Catholic priest, and the 3 of us, John Broadhurst, Andrew Byrne and myself, took 2 weeks. So, and there's been a lot happening since we were received into the Catholic Church on the 1st of January until Saturday. It's quite clear I'm not a bishop. I was ordained to the Catholic priesthood on Saturday. But an ordinary is a person who has jurisdiction over, in this case, a given group of people. I mean, jurisdiction I have at the moment is rather limited to 3 clergy, 2 wives and 3 religious. But nevertheless, I do have oversight and jurisdiction of this first ordinary. And it's rather like, I think the nearest equivalent is an abbot in a monastery. He has jurisdiction over those who live in the monastery, and he can wear the pastoral cross, the episcopal ring, he can wear a mitre and carry a crozier, and those privileges have been given to me. So I'm not a bishop, but I have oversight like a bishop of those who will join the Ordinariate. Nobody's asked me to deny or oppose anything, but I think what I have been as an Anglican priest and bishop has been respected. There are fruits from those ministries. God has worked through me, I know. And that is respected. We've generously been invited to have an office here at Eccleston Square for the time being. As to the future, we don't know. It's extremely early days. I mean, when something is sorted out, we'll have somewhere where I will live, and I hope there will be an office there for me to work from. At the moment, I don't know where it's going to be. As I say, we're in very early days. But for the time being, we've been generously given accommodation here at Eccleston Square.
Okay, Catholic Herald, how do you see the next couple of months unfolding for yourself?
Well, I think it's going to be pretty busy, really, because the most important thing is going to be working with Bishop Allen. He's the Episcopal Delegate, and I hope he's going to be at my side helping me with this. We've got to try and work out some practical arrangements for those priests and congregations, groups of Anglicans, who who are going to become part of the Ordinariate during the process from Ash Wednesday until Pentecost. So there are lots and lots of practical questions. I mean, one of the great burdens of this upon me, and why I have to say slightly hesitant about accepting it, although, you know, I feel as a Catholic, and the Holy Father asks me to do it, and I must respond positively. But I am concerned that we look after our clergy, because it is my responsibility, not only for their housing, but for finance, and not only for them, but also for their wives, and therefore that is a big responsibility. And we've got some resources at the moment, but we will need more. And that's going to be a lot of hard work, I think. We've already got one or two organisations who are suggesting ways that some of our priests might be able to make, to earn some money. I mean, I'm very keen that if they have to earn money, that, you know, it's doing something that is part of their vocation, you know, that they'll see it's a living out of being Catholic priests. You know, I'm not expecting them to go and stack shelves in Sainsbury's. I hope that they will do something to further their ministry, and we're looking into ways that might be possible. Yeah, yes, Walsingham is a very special place for Anglo-Catholics, but of course Walsingham doesn't belong to Anglicans. It's a place of pilgrimage, and there are two shrines. I know that the authorities at the shrine want to examine ways that perhaps the Ordinariate can continue to worship at the Anglican shrine and take part there. But they will have to be conversations with the Guardian. In fact, this has gone on since my wife and I were teenagers. And we can remember vividly going to Liverpool Cathedral for the first sermon by a cardinal in Liverpool Anglican Cathedral for the Week of Christian Unity. It was Cardinal Willibrands, and there were lots of demonstrations outside. You can imagine Liverpool in those days was very tense relations between Catholics and non-Catholics. This is the days before Archbishop Warlock and Bishop David Shepherd. And I can remember that vividly, and ever since that day we have longed for unity. If the church wore vestments, you were thought to be almost beyond the pale. It was a very, very Protestant diocese. But I was brought up in that sort of what used to be called Credo-Catholic church. But our curates were always much more advanced, if you will, than the parish priest was. And they were a great influence on me throughout my teenage years. In fact, one of the guys who was a curate was there at the ordination on Saturday, and he was at the reception afterwards, and he was quite an influence on me as a young man.
Your idea of how many clergy are going to be joining the Ordinariate,
well,
and the number of people in the number of parish groups?
Yeah, it's very difficult to be specific about this, because until those groups actually make the decision, and individual members of the laity make the decision, we can't say. But I would guess to be about 24 groups, mostly around the south of England, in the province of Canterbury. Some in the province of York, but not many, more in the south.
Have any sadness for the people you've left behind?
Of course I do. How could I not? For those that I cared for. I mean, the most emotional bit on Saturday was all the people who came for blessings, who I used to give communion to. Now some of them will I know, be joining the Ordinariate, but some of them won't. They just came because they wanted to support me. And of course I have real warmth about them. I enjoyed that bit of being a bishop. The best bit of being a bishop is actually meeting people and being in the parishes. You know, I'm really just a big parish priest, really, at heart. I never particularly wanted to be a bishop in the Church of England, and I enjoyed that links with people. So yes, of course I'm sad about it, but I also hope that a number of people will follow me. I do feel strongly that, as I was a bishop in the Church of England, the bishop has a role of leadership, and I thought that was important, that I could lead people. I mean, I could have become a Catholic on my own. I could have gone to Bishop Allen, who I've known for very many years, and say, I want to be a Catholic priest, what can you do? And I think life would have been slightly easier for me. But I think as a bishop in the Church of England, I wanted to at least the possibility of taking some people with me who wanted to follow that similar pilgrimage.